If the housing crisis was a book and we had to break it down by chapters, right now I think we'd be in chapter 43. Started in 2008, 2009, the housing crisis in Canada has been very interesting. But I think by far the most interesting one of them all is Australian housing crisis. But that's on other videos. You can type in Australia on the channel. But we'd be on, chapter 43 right now? If this was, because we've been talking about this for ages. So now we are in the end of the deferralment program. Chapter 43. Or chapter 53. If this was a book, this thing would be bigger, it would be the size of this room. So let's look at what's happening here. So now, go to the trends in the housing market, okay, from this past Wednesday. Go towards the end. We had Layla come on the show and give us a direct discussion on how she feels about this housing. It's all crooked. It's all cooked. There's really no discussion to make of it, right? So here it is. Let's take a look at what this is saying now on chapter 43 of this saga that we've been covering here on this channel since the turn of the century. We're in 2020 now. Canada's big banks report over 500,000 mortgages on payment deferral. Now, payment deferral is going to run out at the end of this month, and that's why that's why down even in Australia, Martin North there from Digital Analytics is saying that we are headed for a mortgage cliff this September. And it's happening. It's the mortgage cliff that all the Commonwealth has been waiting on. Now that the deferral payments are drying up, it's going to be very interesting what they're going to do. I have a feeling they might even lock down these cities where you can leave or exit due to the pandemic. They've done it in Victoria, and the vacancy rate in the state of Victoria in Australia is 170% vacancy rate. People were fleeing from the state of Victoria, aka Melbourne. So what are they going to do to keep people in these cities, or people from fleeing or running off to America? Well, they already closed the border between Canada and America in the count of safety, and they shut down all our airlines too. In the mandate of safety. Oh, and you have to wear face masks while making love to your significant other. That's what you can't make this stuff up. Canadian banks are starting to see mortgage payment deferrals expire as households resume payments. Canada's big six banks reported Q3 earnings last week, which ended on July 31st, 2020. Mortgages on payment deferrals have dropped by nearly a fifth in the last quarter. While that doesn't tell us how many people actually needed the deferral, it does bring the market closer to finding out how many do. Canadians have over 510,000 mortgages on payment deferral at the Big Six. So this is at the Big Six. So this is not even like with the B lenders, C lenders, Mickey Mouse lenders, and all these other shadow banks and all kinds of weird stuff that's happening either, right? Canada's Big Six are seeing deferrals expire and people resume payments of tens of thousands of mortgages. There are 510,000 mortgages on payment deferral at the Big Six, and in Q3, down 17.53 from the previous quarter. The mortgages are worth $136.27 billion, down 15.38% from Q2. How this number drops is important to understand, since not everyone took a deferral because they needed it. Only one bank saw the number of mortgages on deferrals increase. The in terms of account numbers, all but one bank is seeing fewer mortgage deferrals. RBC is the most, with 138,000 mortgages on payment deferral on Q3, down 30% from its previous quarter. TD holds the second most at 107,000 mortgages deferred, down 15.08% from the previous quarter. Scotiabank, and so it goes on and tells you the banks now. So there it is. There's the Canadian mortgage deferral at major banks. So now somebody sent me this and asked me, Mike, is this it? Is this could be the tipping point? I don't think that's enough bad loans to actually tank the market overnight. If you want to see a crash like a 2007, 2008 crash, that won't be enough, right? Now, it goes back to the video I made yesterday that I had a question for Better Dwelling, who we're reading this article from right now, and I read from yesterday. Is there enough foreign investing already in Canada in place? Is there a big enough crater in the housing market that if the Canadians on deferral, for example, can't make their mortgage payment, they go in the rears, they lose their property, Is there enough foreign investing already in Canada that these people going under, the Canadians going under, it won't make a dent in the housing market? Because so far it's been resilient to viruses, pandemics, to people losing jobs, to all kinds of Mickey Mousing, and the cost of living keeps going up, and people keep jumping in fear of FOMO. It should be illegal for those real estate agents to say, if you don't buy now, you'll be forever bought out for the rest of your life. Where are those guys now today? Who knows? But anyways, so value of Canadian mortgage deferrals at banks. So there it is in billions. So it just goes back to what we said right there. There's the RBC Q2 in billions. So is this enough? The decline in mortgage on payment deferrals is expected. That doesn't quite tell us how much, as people likely hope. Deferrals were granted to a number of households that didn't actually need them. They were also granted varying lengths from 1 to 6 months. As these deferrals expire, a more clear picture of how many households are distressed will actually emerge. So we don't know the full picture. We don't know the full side. We don't know what really is happening. So somebody asked me a very good question. Mike, listen, honestly, with people deferrals going off, I see Australia getting hit harder than Canada with this deferral cliff. But foreign investing has made a huge impact. Like a majority of investing, like a majority of Melbourne is owned by China right now. So I'm just trying to think, even for Australia, could that be the fact? Could there be enough for investing in Australia now that even if the Australian proper can't manage to service his debt, that it won't make a difference anyway, because there's so much laundered money and shadow flipping in the country. Same thing with Canada. So that's a really good question. Now it goes back to yesterday's video that we did. You know what I'm saying? But guys, this is very important because we're on a pinnacle of a cliff here, right? There could be the mortgage cliff. Is there going to be a correction? There has to be a correct. There should have been 3-4 corrections in the last 10 years. I've been making videos on this channel about this housing crisis. There should have been a whole pile of corrections by now. But unfortunately, we haven't left our housing markets, or any market, so to say, on autopilot. And once we pull it off autopilot and let it do its own thing, we're just going to have to, in turn, raise interest rates. That's the only tool we have left in our toolbox to fix our economy, is to raise rates. Rates right now need to go up to about 7.7%, adjusted to inflation, to where we need to be right now in Canada. Australia is a little bit higher, pushing closer to the 9%. United States needs to be around the 5.5%. So depending on what economy you're looking at, and depending at the specific housing market, and looking at the specific different rules and regions and banking regulations, underwriters and what they allow and what they allow to go within a gray. There's always a gray area, right? With your total debt service ratio, your credit score, your CGS, your TDS, all that other stuff. They need to understand where you are in that gray area. And there's too much gray area, and there's too many bad loans on the books. And that's what I'm afraid of. The bad loans are going to start surfacing when people so-and-so aren't going back to work anymore. What kind of effect is that going to cause? It's going to cause a ripple effect, but will it be strong enough? Because we do have enough money laundered through our country from keeping us. Give me a... Okay, I brought this up 56 times on my channel, but I'm going to bring it up. Canada will be in a recession if it wasn't for money laundering. So there it is. So here it is. It goes back to that. Is there... Well, they've only caught from 2011, 2015, $200 billion laundered. That's what they've caught. That's what they think they know. There's so much more shadow flipping and stuff. That's only for 4 years, and then the Liberal government need to shut this down immediately. They need to shut this down, because then it's gonna put us into a recession if we start arresting people that have been laundering money through Canada. And criminals are keeping Canada's economy afloat. Thank you very much, criminals, for doing that. And kind of on a side note here, residents of a Gastown building moving as they fear for their safety. So here it is, guys. These people outside of their building in Gastown, on the border there on Hastings Street, just on the border there of like where things get pretty sketchy. People cannot go in and out of their front door because they are hovered, or there's a lot of people, it says right here, recent months, residents of the Burns block on West Hastings Street have to enter and exit the building through the laneway as individuals who are homeless have blocked the main entrance and are harassing residents attempting to pass through. So that's what's happening there. And the funny part is, like, every single person here is a Canadian. That's the sad part. It's kind of weird, you know what I'm saying? So just this kind of stuff going on. So people can't go in through their front building anymore. And it looks like someone spat on there. And so people can't really get in and out of their own building. So they have to use an alleyway on the side. The alleyway looks pretty good, too. Look, that's not that... Oh, that's the front door. Where's the alleyway? They don't have a picture of the alleyway. So there it is. Nice. Look, you look at this on a postcard. You're like, oh, look at that nice building Buddy's living in. And then, realistically, this is what it looks like. And that's what's happening all across the whole West Coast. All the way from Vancouver down to San Diego. Tent cities everywhere. People moving eastbound. Affordability levels out of there. And, again, more laundered money on our shores. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon.